Hello, everyone, and welcome to Grip Lock Foundation Disc Golf Weekly Podcast. I'm Hunter, joined as always by Trevor. Connor's out today, but we're previewing the Green Mountain Championships going down this weekend. We're going to talk over the course, some storylines, and then get into our predictions for our point standings. And it's the first playoff event of all time for the Disc Golf Pro Tour, so we'll talk about what that means. But first, quick word from our sponsor. Today's episode is brought to you by FoundationDiscs.com. Us. Really just wanted to give a shout out because we have the most Discraft discs in stock that I think we've possibly ever had. Definitely that we've had in years.
I think probably ever.
Especially selection wise, more so selection wise.
There's more Discraft discs in our store than I've ever been.
Mold wise, especially. We're also just launched a monthly subscription box. You can find out all of this and more information over at FoundationDiscs.com. We're adding new discs to the site every single day. And for this weekend only, you can use code GMC for the Green Mountain Championship to get 15% off of all Discraft on our site through this weekend. Again, that's code GMC. It'll get you 15% off all Discraft discs on our site this weekend, so you're not going to miss out on that opportunity. And we really appreciate each and every one of you who shops and supports us over there. That's FoundationDiscs.com. All right, so Green Mountain Championship is one of my favorite tournaments of the year, and I think it just got even more towards my favorites because it's a playoff event now.
Yeah, I think GMC is like a player's favorite. They seem to get very excited to go to that course. People just love it there. And are they playing on two courses this year?
Yeah, they always do.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure they're sticking to the same format. So
Fox Run and Brewster Ridge, two courses that really complement each other very well.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a really good pairing. There's some really good technical golf out there. And yeah, the players love it. I think the event has been around just long enough now that it's built some momentum and like become a bit of a staple on tour. And I think, just adding it, I think it's a good event to add the playoffs to because I love that it's a private property. Mm-hmm. I think they're smart in making both their playoff events private properties that are very manageable and they know they can keep long term. So that was smart because I think that'd be good for building the prestige of the playoffs. I think the playoffs, as they are right now, I mean, I think it adds a little bit because just like saying the word playoff is fun. I don't think that they really mean a ton because most of the players, it's more like the playoffs right now is more like jockeying for position.
Exactly, yeah.
It's not really about making the next event because the players that are in that battle are really far up the ranking. So like it certainly is for them. Like it's not like it's not a big deal for them. But the ones we're going to be watching on the upper cards more than likely are going to be the guys who are just jockeying for position within the top 30 there for that. Now I will say this: if somebody from around that cut line gets up into a top card, let's say somebody who's like well outside the cut line gets onto like a lead card and they're like showing like if they finish here they have a chance to make it to Maple Hill, that'll be electric.
Yes,
I'm hoping for a scenario like that to where we're like watching guys on like the lead card that are trying to make huge jumps to get it's gonna be very difficult to do that, but that would make the playoffs feel even more special. But I'm just excited for the event in general. I think this is a good one to come back from Worlds after the little Silver Series hiatus and kick off the first year of the playoffs. I mean, I just going to the event and seeing like it just say playoffs with that logo, like that's just fun. You know, it's cool.
Yeah. Now, if you haven't watched Green Mountain Championships before, first off, I suggest you go back and watch it. A lot of great battles went down here. Fox Run Meadows is the more open of the two courses. Still has some woods to deal with, but it's a lot more open than Brewster Ridge, which is pretty much all in the woods.
Brewster Ridge is insane.
Both are very, very solid courses. I haven't heard of any serious changes to these courses. It wouldn't surprise me if there were some tweaks. It seems like every course this year has had at least some tweaks, but I haven't heard of anything major. And I feel like typically there's posts on social media or like people let you know before the event that that's happening. And so I would imagine we're going to be seeing a very normal layout to what we saw previously in last year. Now, with it being a playoff event, this is worth 25% more points than regular season events as well.
Yeah.
And there's the jockeying for position to make it to Maple Hill. The top 72 MPO after this weekend and top 28 FPO will be able to register for Maple Hill after this weekend's over. And the other thing that there's some jockeying for position too is for the Tour Championship, that cut line, this is when it really starts to matter.
Yeah.
This event and Maple Hill are the two, but this event could be something where someone shoots themselves in the foot, because it's worth 125% more points if someone who's on that line really does not perform well and someone else does perform greatly. You could move out of the play-in event and secure your spot in the actual tour championship, or you could move in between the different brackets they have. MVP will be a lot more where we watch that cut line.
Right.
But this is when it really becomes time to start watching that cut line.
I also just had a thought. Now that with Maple Hill only being a 72 player men's field, 28 women's field, that gives them a unique opportunity to mess around with doing threesomes or pairings, because they'll have so much more room in the course.
Not going to, but
they could. I'm just saying, I'll just be interested to see, like, if they just go like traditional, like we're just going to start the times, because like they have a lot more flexibility with start times, gapping. Like, I'll be curious to see if they just run it like normal, or if they're like, hey, let's make bigger gaps, which I wouldn't really like that necessarily, because you don't want people finishing like way ahead of people. But it would be their one opportunity to lessen the groups and make them smaller if they wanted to. So, which I don't think. I think in disc golf, the issue is there's not enough cameras.
That's a tough thing.
So like you do want to get as many players on one card as possible for that reason. So I wouldn't see them messing with it. But I'm just curious to know, like, this, it'll be very almost eerie, like how small the field will be. Because it's always very weird. Because like the tour championship doesn't really give you that feel, because it's like a different format entirely, so you don't feel like it's a 30-person field, because it feels like a whole different event. But like on the PGA Tour, their tour championship, when it's like I think it's like 30 some players in that field, it's very weird to watch, because you're like, there's not a lot of golfers out there. So it'll be interesting watching like a much smaller field and seeing how they if they do anything with that, or they just run it like normal. Yeah.
So looking at who's registered here, one thing to note is if you look at, I'm actually pull it up. I was looking at the via UDisc, but if you pull up the Green Mountain Championships 2022, you'll notice some players that shouldn't qualify are in the field. Talking through that, it seems as though a lot of these players qualified via like direct qualifying events, if that makes sense. So they weren't necessarily in the playoff because of points, but they were able to get buys via direct qualifying. What that exactly means, I think there was like a Monday qualifying situation going on. There might have been some other ones, because there's a decent chunk of people. I mean, a solid 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's 12 people under 1,000 rated. When we looked at it, I believe all of them were not in the top 100.
Correct. Is weird.
It's not originally. I was thinking, I wonder if it's Pacers. We've seen that before. But to have 12, that doesn't make any sense, because that's 3 full cards, which means they wouldn't be in there. There's also a few players over 1,000 that wouldn't be in either. I said something to Brody about it. He said, "Oh, they're qualifying events." I haven't seen any information about that. Exactly what the qualifying event means, but I don't like it. I don't hate it. Like this year, because the thing is, like,
it doesn't really matter, but it's kind of weird.
Hunter Martin, for instance, 961 rated, shouldn't be in this event.
Yeah.
But he's also not going to take anyone's spot at MVP.
Right.
So where I don't mind it is because of the quick shift that happened, where if you were local to the GMC area or Maple Hill,
so this was like guys a chance.
Yeah, this is still a chance for local. Now he's from Florida, so how he qualified, who knows? He might have just made a trip. But it still gives the locals like a shot at playing their flagship event.
Right.
So that's where I don't.
That's a pro tour move. Like that's what they do.
That's where I don't hate it. Is like it still gives the local guys a shot, and at the end of the day, it's probably not going to hurt anyone.
No, it shouldn't matter.
Now, if all 12 of these players popped off, and someone who like needed to play decent fell below them, then it might be something interesting where it could hurt someone. But then at that point, you can just argue play better. So that's the only thing that like was weird looking at the registration list. Was like some of these players, how did they get in? Sounds like that's kind of how they got in. I wonder, Rozak, I just saw his name. Was he qualified, or did he get in a play-in event?
He must have gotten in a play-in event,
because I don't remember seeing his name first. Oh no, he's 83rd.
Oh,
how dare I?
Okay, never mind.
So he's one of the ones that's kind of on the bubble, getting into that 72nd. So let's actually go ahead and take a look at MVP. So this is kind of the line where we're going to be riding an MPO. I'm only going to read players that are registered because, for instance, according to UDisc, Ezra Robinson, 68th in the world right now, Pro Tour standings. 68th in Pro Tour standings, not registered for GMC. So there's a big chance that he gets jumped. Same with Mikhail Hame. I believe he's a European player. And Ty Love. They're all three of them, 68th, 69th, 70th, not registered for GMC. Currently outside of the cut for MVP is Paul Ulibarri, sitting in 73rd.
Well, I'm going to keep my mouth dead shut.
Yeah, he is registered. He is registered for GMC. And with those three players above him not being registered, if he plays solid, he's going to get in. Now. To make the jump to the playoffs, near impossible. I mean, Tour Championship, he's going to need close to 200 points to gain close to 200 points on people. He's going to need something special to happen, but he should be able to get to MVP. Robert Burridge, another player that we know of, he's sitting in 71st right now. So a solid performance for him. Locks him. John Willis, solid performance for him. The next one who's registered is 74th. At 93 points. The cut at 72nd right now is 95, so he's 3 points sitting, or 2 points sitting outside.
Semerad, he was good.
Yes, so he's currently sitting out. Some notable players down here too. Zacharias Johnson, not registered for GMC and outside the cut, so he's officially not going to play MVP Open. And then the next player down that's registered, Jake Mon. Noah Fivish is registered. Austin Turner's registered. Justin Rozak registered. They all have a shot, but now we're getting into it's going to take
a really good finish.
It's going to take a good performance. Same Clay Edwards, Tim Barham, Noah Meinsma.
It is crazy to think that we're at the point now in the season to where there's a lot of people's seasons that are over now. Because if you're not playing
Nathan Queen, last year's Tour Championship winner, is not back in the Tour Championship this year.
If you're not playing this event, or if you didn't make it into this event, even you're done. Because if you didn't make it to USDGC, which a lot of times that's
crazy.
Hand.
Yeah, Nathan Queen, he's 94th, and he hasn't played an event. He didn't even play Worlds
mid-September, and
I wonder what happened. Nathan Queen's season.
He retired, man, on that 20K or whatever. 30K, yeah, he retired.
Well, no, I want to see, he hasn't played since June. He played Beaver State Flint. I wonder if he got hurt. He came 114th at Las Vegas, 57th at Waco, 90th at Texas State. He cashed at Music City in 17th. Missed cash at Champions Cup, missed cash at Jonesboro, cashed at DDO, cashed at the 303 Open, cashed at the Kitsap Classic. I mean, these are all just A tiers at this point. Cashed at some random another A tier, 64th at Portland, 59th at Beaver State Fling, and then he just disappeared.
Well, I mean, yeah, it was definitely a Cinderella story last year. But he had to get there, and even though he was an alternate player, he was still somewhere around. Yeah,
but this year, no chance of him being in. Scott Stokely, most likely this will be his last event of the year. Actually, not most likely. This will be his last event of the year unless he wins GMC. Same for Nate Perkins. So those are kind of the cut line down there. Andrew Fish actually is registered. So I guess as players didn't register, more players got in. Zach Melton. A lot of these guys are registered for GMC. Somehow Andrew Fish is registered for MVP already.
Does he have exemption because of a finish from last year?
I don't know. He's in 108th place in the Pro Tour standing. It is random. I'm going to look up MVP Open and see if that registered is true.
You shouldn't be able to be even registered for that yet. Why does that?
No, a lot of players can through 64th in the world can have registered already.
Why?
Yeah, Andrew Fish is already registered. Very interesting there.
Why would they even have a registration open?
I don't know. The 72nd can't register until September 18th. I understand Wave 1, the top 40. Someone's not going to fall from top 40 out.
Yeah.
At this point, but top 64 can already register. There's some players that could fall, 64th.
That's very odd. I don't understand that at all.
Scott Withers has 127 points right now at 64th. That is possible for the players below him 8 players to catch him. Unlikely, but possible.
Yeah, I don't
very unlikely, actually, but possible.
I don't know why they did that. What's the harm in just waiting?
I don't know. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to kind of watch that cut line, watch some of these players, especially Paul Ulibarri, see if he can make it into the MVP Open.
He's going to make it.
And Robert Burridge as well. He's the one that went to the playoff.
Team Yuli.
Went to the playoff with...
always makes it.
Went to the playoff with Simon. So be interesting to at least watch that storyline. Let's look at the FPO.
Well, you know what storyline I'm looking at MPO the most right now is number 1 spot, because Paul jumped Ricky.
Paul did jump Rick.
So that's going to be the interesting jockey, because winning
by 20 points now.
Being the 1 seed is going to be a huge part of the argument for player of the year.
Yes.
Because it's the hardest thing to do.
Does Paul have a solid enough argument? He won Waco and he won Worlds.
Well, I'm just saying being on top of the Pro Tour point standings is arguably the best argument there is, because it means you've played the best over the course of the season.
Well, also if he can pick up a win at MVP or GMC, which is likely, I won't say guaranteed,
then he's probably going to win Player of the Year.
He probably will, which is crazy. It's crazy.
Disc golf, man.
Because Ricky won Texas State, DDO, and Ledgestone. Ricky won those 3.
He doesn't have a major, so if Paul gets another win, he's got a better season going.
Yeah.
And then the
other argument is Simon, who won DMC, and then Portland and OTB, but Simon's in 6th. So Ricky's the clear player of the year currently with the 3rd win, but you have to ask yourself, how much is a major worth over
It's
Pro
very
Tour?
I think it's very close right now, but that's
if Paul ends up being the player of the year after what is considered to be a bad season for Paul.
Yeah, pretty crazy, huh?
Which is wild. And then he's player of the year.
You've just got to love him in the last 3 events.
The last stretch of the season, GMC, MVP, and USDGC.
Yeah, you just got to love him in all those events there.
He's one of the favorites, if not the favorite, in all of those events.
And he's probably not going to be hurt like he was.
Yeah. It's definitely be interesting coming down.
Disc golf narratives this year, they've just been flipped all up on their head. We have to at the end of the season, we have to do a compilation of best and worst takes, and go back to early episodes and just find some of the stuff narratives we were drawing up, because there's probably hilarious ones.
Probably.
We need help from the audience. Start digging and finding our worst and best takes in the beginning of the season. I mean, because the European FPO takeover, that one started out pretty bad, but look at Worlds.
Yeah. FPO, Kristen Tatar still has a shot to chase Paige down. She's 19 points behind Paige right now.
I'd say, she's more than a shot. She could do it pretty easily.
Yeah, she's won 3 events in a row.
Yeah, all she's got to do is just keep winning, and she's going to do it.
Paige's last 2 events have dropped. Worlds and DMC have both dropped, which is crazy.
The drops are huge. That's why Paul is up there as high as he is.
Yeah, because the 51st
because he only
place
had
drop.
2 bad finishes, and they're gone.
Yeah. So Kristen Tatar has a shot there, but let's look at the 28th cut line here in FPO. Right now on the line is Holly Finley. The next in is Vanessa Van Dyken. Deanne Carey's in 27th. Katie Tati. Hannah Blomers is in 25th. That's kind of interesting. She's registered for both the next 2 events as well.
Hasn't played much.
So, how is she registered for? Oh, top 36 FPO get in.
Oh.
I read it wrong. Top 28 have already been able to register. That's where the 28 came from. I was like, how did she register? Top 30. Okay. 36. So this line, Area Castruda.
The 36 spot with FPO is not super.
He's not registered.
Well, it's
so
kind of,
she's out.
It's
Ellen Widboom also not registered. So, yeah, it's kind of up in the air right now. Callie McMorrin has a shot to get in. Raven Klein has a shot to get in. Leah Senegini has an outside shot to get in. Very outside shot, but still an outside shot. And below her, I think it's safe to say no one has a shot.
There's definitely not any huge FPO names.
No, the next big story will be post at MVP watching Ken Henna, Juliana Corver, Madison Walker, Jennifer Allen, Deanne Carey, Holly Finley make it into the play-in event.
The play-in cut will be very intense.
As it stands, Kona Panis is in.
Yes.
She's going to have some solid performances to stay in, because she's struggled slightly here and there, but luckily for her Ledgestone and Pro Worlds have dropped. She's probably used all of her drops at this point, so if she has solid performances at GMC and MVP, then she's in. Lisa Fakis is the bubble line for the play-in event. Haley King's the last in currently, but Haley King's not registered for GMC or MVP. She's the reigning GMC champion and is not registered.
That is very interesting. I wonder why.
I'm not sure. She's not registered for GMC or MVP. Both of those events, she's not. She should be safe to be in the play-in event.
That's very curious.
But
I wonder if she's hurt.
She will be jumped. What's interesting too is Holland Hanley, not registered for GMC, is registered for MVP. Same thing for Macy Veladiaz.
I don't know. I think
if I'm the player on the bubble, I'm showing up to GMC.
I guess people this time of year maybe get homesick or want to take a break. This
is the playoffs.
I don't know.
This is Well, this isn't the time to get homesick and go home. This is the playoffs.
I don't know. It's weird because it is like
if I'm Macy Valadiaz, what are you doing not being a GMC?
It is like the last stretch of tour, so like why not just like finish? You only got to go a few more weeks, and then
if you're Holland Hanley, you need 2 solid performances, and you could jump into the top 10, and like
that's curious.
And the Tour Championship, you're playing for a lot of money.
That is true. Like that is the thing I remember is like getting yourself into the Tour Championship. Like you've got a chance to have life-changing payout.
Yeah.
So
well, getting yourself into the Tour Championship guarantees of like what, $2,000?
Pretty good. Yeah. Like you got it.
Just showing up.
It's a big deal getting in there. Like the money is serious.
I will say this. I'm curious to see how the Disc Golf Network handles talking about who's qualifying for Maple Hill and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I've been kind of disappointed. They haven't really talked about it much all season. But the playoffs, like you got to talk about it now. So it's interesting to see how they cover it. If they choose to cover it, they better. Because that jockeying for position, I think, is what's going to make this event so exciting. Because like, yes, winning GMC, that's going to be electric. But the players who are in contention more than likely are going to be players who are already set getting to MVP.
I just want to see UDisc do a live updating DGPT point standings. I don't think it's that hard to do. I know they could do it. And like then they could use that on the broadcast to just like right now, this is what the standings would look like if they finished. Like that's all you need.
Yeah.
And like that, like that's it.
Because I think that would make this event even more exciting. It already makes it feel more important. GMC
it just gives you more storylines to look at.
Yeah.
You know, like okay, we're looking for the winner, but then we're also looking at these cut lines,
just like USDGC spots.
Exactly. Yeah. And they don't even bring attention to that really.
No.
So.
But yeah, so definitely it's going to be an exciting weekend of disc golf. You'll be able to watch it live on the Disc Golf Network, and Jomez will be handling post production as well as Gatekeeper and GK
The only
Pro.
like cut line they ever talk about is like getting onto lead card. And they talk about that.
They talk about that one a lot.
Like it's the most serious thing ever, which it is a big deal. But that's the one cut line they like do talk about in the broadcast a lot.
They'll show like if there's a cut line in the event, they'll show
that too. Yeah.
But I would love to. I mean, I want to be seeing after round 1. I want to be seeing updates of like after round 1. Here is where the current Pro Tour standings would be. These players are out of MVP currently.
Especially if you have players on camera that are like involved in some kind of chase.
Yeah, like it wouldn't be Yuli's on one of the feature cards of GMC.
So there you go.
So if nothing else, he's gonna be on Jomez. Like that's a big storyline. Can Yuli make it to MVP? He should, being in 73rd with players ahead of him not playing, but that's still a big storyline. You know what I mean? Robert Burridge, different players like that. Like it'll be a big storyline. It's just how are they going to show it, and they better show it. I definitely think the end of the season's laid out to be very exciting.
Yeah, it's a great finish to the season. It's kind of sad though. I'm starting to get a little sad.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for the off season because you never know what happens in the off season. There's always exciting moves.
I do love moves. Moves are fun. I don't know. We should probably once we get to the off season, we'll really start paying attention to like the free agency tracker because I think there could be some pretty big moves this off season. But yeah, that is exciting. That is the one part of the offseason that we get to look forward to is the free agency.
I also like grip lock in the offseason.
It's laid back. Yeah.
Laid back, a lot more fun, if you will.
It is a lot of fun.
If you haven't watched offseason grip lock, you're in for a treat this year.
Yeah, it's a different animal.
But it definitely, I just think MVP and GMC just they already have prestige, but making them a playoff event gives them a little more prestige. But like you said, as the years go on and they continue to be, the prestige will get bigger and bigger.
Here's what I want to say. Events that take place in the northern part of the U.S. are goated.
Yeah.
Like, think about it. You've got the events in the Northwest, then you've got events like the Preserve, because that one's in Minnesota, right? Or am I capping?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Minnesota.
Okay. And then there's
Minnesota.
And then you've got, because I think even Ledgestone is technically northern part. And then you've got these Northeast events. I think like the northern events, I think it has a lot to do with the terrain, but like they're just good. They're good. There's a lot of good northern courses.
Yeah. Final thing to look at here going into this weekend before we get into our predictions is some win percentage. The win probability.
I'd love to know how well they did last week.
They wrote an article, I believe.
Oh, they talk about how
they talked about how they performed, I think. I
mean, they update live, so it's not like...
Man, they write a lot of blogs.
I guess, can you really be proven wrong with the win percentage?
How to perform at Pro Worlds.
As long as you never say 0%, you can't, or 100%, you can't ever be wrong.
The FPO player favorite at 58% was Tatar and did end up winning the tournament. Paul and Beth, who entered the tournament close to the top but not quite the favorite, emerged with the highest win by the end of round 2. And he ended up winning the event. Page made the top 5 after starting the performance with a 78% chance to do so. Swings and misses. Only 3 of the 10 best projected MPO players actually finished in the top 10. Macbeth, Matteo, Calvin Heimberg. Neither Pierce nor Katrina Allen finished on the podium despite having 55 and 52% chances to do so. From the department of So You're telling me there's a chance Aaron Gossage nearly won the tournament starting with a less than 1% likelihood to even finish on the podium. It was the best story of the week. Tristan Tanner finished on the podium, even though not a single one of the 20,000 pre-tournament simulations had that result.
They're doing. Where can I get my hands on that? What are we doing pre-tournament?
They said
I want that. What?
They said it was probably the 20,001st one that would have done it.
That is the thing with percentages though, is you can't be wrong because
20,000 pre-tournament simulations, not a single one had Tristan Tanner on the podium.
If there's less than 20% or less than 1%, there's still a chance. So like they can't be wrong. I don't know. That's fun. They're doing simulations. Wow, dude, UDisc, let us mess around with that thing. Can you like change like the overall ratings of players?
Yeah.
So how many simulations do we have? How funny would that be?
How many simulations till we are on the podium?
No, till Brody wins.
Oh.
Like we just run worlds over and over again. It's like the Doctor Strange things where he's like, how many times did you look at the scenario? He's like 300 million. He's like, how many do we win? 1.
Yeah.
Twitter memes are just firing through my head right now. I'm okay.
So win probability for Green Mountain Championship, kind of fascinating because there's 2 people tied with the best chance to win at 16%, and it's Paul Macbeth and Matty O.
Yeah, I think that's hilarious.
Fascinating.
Well, it's actually Matty O. If there's anybody who's due for a win, it is him. But I still stand by I love Matty O. Let me be clear. I think Matty O is great. But I've been able to stand by my Matty O can't win Elite Series events take all year, and it's been working. So I'm going to stick with it. You can't win.
Ricky Wysocki's next with 14%, and then Chris Dickerson's at 12%. Who I think Dickerson's got to be one of the favorites. He won the event last year. On FPO, let's see what this looks like. Chris and Tatar, they're giving a 58% chance to win. I can't argue with it.
Respect.
To be honest,
I love her. What is her? The top 10 percentage greater
than 99%. Yeah, she's guaranteed top 10.
That's what I'm saying with the percentage. Like you can't be wrong. Like that's what I'm, like as long as you don't say 100% or 0. I'm calling you out, UDisc. If you want to really double down, throw out a 0 or 100%, and then we'll talk.
Let's see. No, the lowest is less than 1%.
Make some real predictions out here. That's like saying you're just saying it probably won't. Let's see some real predictions.
Paige Pierce has a 12% chance at winning. Katrina Allen 9%. Owen Scoggins 5%. Definitely, I mean, Kirsten Tatar 58%. They're right till they're proven wrong. I mean, it
would be curious.
Definitely the favorite.
It'd be curious for them to take their win probability, or maybe we could even do it. Take their win probabilities from the start of each event and apply them to betting odds, and like we would act as the house for a whole season and see if we would stay up. Like based on like
betting their favorites,
based on like how often is the underdog going to win versus the favorites and this and that. Like just see how well their percentages work for line making, basically based on the simulations they're doing. It'd be interesting.
It would be interesting. All right, get into some predictions here. Quick, we don't have Connor here, but I do want to ask you a question. Mm-hmm. Do we make playoff events worth more? Majors are worth twice. Are playoff events worth 1.5?
I feel like we can't really vote without him.
But we can vote if we both agree. It doesn't matter his vote.
2 out of 3. So playoffs are worth double. So what is it normally?
No, majors are worth double.
Yeah, majors are worth double. So we say playoffs are worth like 1 extra point. Just 1 extra point.
Well, that's double for a lot of it.
Oh, you're right. I don't want to do half points. We can do half points.
1.5 rounding.
What? No rounding. We can do half points. That's not that complicated. I don't know why I'm acting like it is. Okay, so 1.5 points for a player in the top 3, and then so it's times it's
be 1.5.
It's 150%.
Yeah. So
then
if
4.5.
Picking a player correct.
It's 4.5. Does you get a half of the
4.5.
Math, baby.
Dark horse would be 3.
Yes. I think that's fair.
All right. So playoffs are worth 1.5 points going into the playoffs. I have 117. I'm writing this down.
Playoffs. I'm going to chase Connor down. It's going to be epic.
I have 117 points. Connor has 86 points, and Trevor has 74.
This is getting real now because
I
was just always like, we got the whole season.
We have GMC, MVP, USDGC. I don't really think we can do predictions for the Tour Championship, can we?
We could do brackets and like add a point for each like correct.
Yeah, we can do something like that.
Yeah, we'll do something.
But
it's getting
realistically,
real.
you have three
I'm chasing him down.
tournaments, but they're worth point and a half, too.
I'm chasing him down.
So
I'm chasing him down.
predictions, I'll go ahead and give my MPO predictions first. I have Ricky Wysocki coming in third, Chris Dickerson coming in second, and I think Mr. Paul Macbeth goes back-to-back. He's very comfortable at GMC. He got the monkey off his back, just won Worlds. I think he does it. I think he goes back-to-back.
Definitely going to be tough to beat.
Connor's prediction, he has Paul coming in third, Calvin coming in second, and Ricky taking it down. What do you got, Trevor?
I have got, let me make sure. I've got Matty O in third. I think he's due for another top 3, and I like his consistency. I know he's going to be in the hunt. I got Paul in second, and I've got Chris Dickerson back-to-back. He's due.
All right.
In first.
Let's stick with you for your FPO.
FPO, I got Own in third. She's been a top 3 beast lately. I've got Paige in second, because why the heck not, right? And then I've got Kristen winning because of course.
Kristen, Paige, Own. Connor has Kristen winning as well, but then has Evelina in second and Valerie Mandahano in third.
Yeah, I like the difference between me and Connor's picks.
You'll have a lot of differences between there. So that's either gonna go in your favor and his.
I could gain a ton of points this week.
I've got Kristen taking it down. I'm riding with Henna coming in second, and Own Scoggins, I agree. I think she's coming in third place. My dark horse pick going into this weekend
I love that
is
pick.
Gavin Babcock as long as he's in the field.
You didn't check?
I don't think I checked. Surely I checked.
I know my dark horse is there because he is the dark horse. Is he actually there yet?
He should be.
Okay.
Gavin Babcock is there.
So that'd be tough.
Gavin Babcock is my dark horse pick.
I like Gavin Babcock. I think we could be friends.
Trevor's dark horse pick is Mr. Smith.
Brody Smith. He slipped at 50th in the world, back into the dark horse spot.
And Connor, probably this is a very sneaky dark horse pick. Thomas Gilbert came top 20 last year.
Tomas Gilbert.
Great dark horse pick there for Connor.
Yeah, Gavin Babcock is a great pick. I want to be a part of that Alden Harris friend group so badly from watching his videos. I get FOMO somehow. So, Alden, if you're listening, I know you do listen sometimes. Let's hang out. Me and your friends.
Yeah, that's funny. All right, well, there it is. The Green Mountain Championship starts tomorrow. You can catch it live on the Disc Golf Network and then catch post-production on your favorite post-production channels. We'll be back here on Monday to talk about how it went down, who's going to be playing an MVP, next week's MVP, I believe.
You can watch it on Gatekeeper, Central Coast, or Jomez.
Next week is...
Did you get that?
No. Oh, the echo.
I almost did it earlier, but I was like, all right, I have to. It's fair enough. It happens to the best. I think that showed that Jomez isn't invincible, even though they usually are.
Maple Hill is next weekend. Maple Hill is next weekend.
Maple Hill is a cool logo. We need to do why haven't we done a power rankings for logos yet? For like event logos.
We can do that this off-season.
That's an off-season. I can say early favorite is Des Moines with that. They're the deer, right?
Yeah,
that thing is sick.
My early favorite is throwing it back to 2011 PDGA championships.
I also like the Waco one with the bridge situation.
Yeah, it's pretty solid.
Pretty good. It looks very professional.
There you have it. We'll talk to you on Monday.
Peace.